This is Angus. Angus is 5 years old. I adopted him when he was about 10 months. He is a bit bigger than the average cat size, but his breed is just cat. Domestic American Shorthair. A cat mutt. He is named after Angus MacDonald from the podcast and best-selling comic series The Adventure Zone because he is a curious and polite little boy detective. His best friend is a dog named Jaeger. His greatest enemy is the vacuum cleaner. He likes treats, being included in whatever is happening, live streams and videos of birds and other animals, as well as certain video games, and most of all, burying his face in my neck and drooling all over it while he purrs and kneads my neck and face, at least twice a day. I keep his nails pretty short. Angus is adorable, very silly, super friendly and affectionate, and we all know he's the reason you're here. That's why he's in the thumbnail. And Angus is an indoor cat, with field trips. Here's some of the basics to domesticated animals. Obviously, we got the livestock type, who humans discovered could provide physical products to improve our lives. Food, be it milk or eggs or honey, yes, there are domesticated-ish bees. Clothing, from wool or fur or leather or some combination of those. Then we also have the animals who provide some kind of service. This could definitely overlap into the livestock category, but for simplicity's sake we're keeping them separate. There's the often theorized image of the early humans sitting around a fire and a big old wolf coming to join them, and the realization that they could be allies. We bred wolves and dogs to help us hunt, to guard us or our livestock, to help us herd, to help us fish, to keep us warm, to be transportation, to be fast or powerful, and most of all, to be companions. It's often said that cats domesticated themselves, inserting themselves into our lives and making themselves useful. Cats saw that human settlements had warm shelters with an awful lot of easy prey hanging around, decided they wanted a piece of that, and started helping us with pest control. Before we knew it, we had another companion animal we wanted with us at all times, despite the fact we know they are manipulating us with their cuteness to get what they want. You keep going, or you want to keep watching them ducks? I can feel how tense his muscles are. He wants to pounce. But we're not going to let you pounce, are we? No. Is you're an invasive species. There is a tendency, especially by pet owners, to underestimate the effects of free-roaming pets on biodiversity. The perceived predation is far less than the actual predation values, and the potential spread of disease, infection, and other zoonotic pathogens between individual animals are often overlooked entirely. And although these numbers are somewhat unclear, we can tell that it's a major threat toward wildlife and something that has made major effects on local ecosystems. The Wildlife Center of Virginia reported that between 2000 and 2010, cat interaction was the fourth greatest cause of mammal mortality, and the second greatest cause of avian mortality, with a total of 83 separate species admitted for cat interactions. Having a reliable and nutritious food source, that is, properly feeding your pets and meeting their dietary needs, may decrease the probability of your pet preying on wild animals, but many of our pets are predators. They have hunting and chasing instincts and will simply hunt for fun. For example, this is Cassie, one of my family's cats we had when I was growing up. She was generally a very lazy cat, loved to cuddle and sleep, and loved dry cat food. She was mostly an indoor cat by choice, but she was allowed to free roam. And despite the fact that she spent most of her time inside, being just a lump of fluff on a bed or couch, she was a birder. She was especially efficient in spring, catching baby birds and fledglings just by taking a minute or two outside. This is Mimi. Mimi was also one of our cats, contemporary with Cassie, although they didn't get along. Mimi loved to play. She was very active. She also had the choice of being in or out, and she usually chose out. She loved to sleep in the flower beds and would come inside smelling of flowers. And boy could she kill mice. She killed so many mice. And both Cassie and Mimi, and many other free-roaming cats that I've known, learned that humans don't really like it when they bring home a gift. so a lot of times they would stop bringing their prey home and just hunt for themselves. So I have no idea how much they might have killed. There are fewer studies on predation and other population effects on arthropods, fish, amphibians, and reptiles, but we do know that they have also been affected by domestic dogs and cats. I've seen cats chase bugs constantly, viral videos of dogs obsessed with fish, and Angus's only confirmed kills are 2 houseflies and 1 moth, though they were indoors and seemed already close to the end of their natural lifespan. Now we're going to get a little bit serious. If you have any triggers for animal injury or death, I would recommend skipping ahead in the video. I know I'm not very comfortable talking about it, but it is important. For a long time, I was one of those people who put the perceived happiness of my pets as something that was hard to overcome, and that's a very, very common barrier with pet owners. A lot of people feel that their cats, and sometimes dogs, are happier and healthier if they are allowed to free roam and run around unsupervised. And in general, that's not really true. I talked about how Mimi liked to be outside for most of her life, more than she liked being inside. One day, she came home with a big gaping wound on her leg. We don't know exactly what happened, but we think she was hunting a rat and it bit her in self-defense, or maybe another cat, we don't really know. We just know that she got a small bite on her leg. It got infected, she had to get stitches and a drain tube, and it was disgusting, and she had to wear a cone for at least a month, and that sure didn't make her happy. And if we hadn't gotten her treatment, who knows what would have happened. Before Cassie and Mimi, my family had a cat named Mungo Jerry, after the poem and the song, and he was our first cat. He was great. We adopted him while we were living in the Netherlands, and he came with us when we moved back to California. And then, one night, he was let outside, and we never saw him again. Best case scenario for him is he found another house, or he joined the feral cat colonies over by the university. But what most likely happened was, as my family put it, something got him. A coyote, a bobcat, a cougar, who knows. We never found out. And it's kind of amazing to me that we continued to let our cats free roam after that. It wasn't until I started living on my own as an adult that I made the decision that my cats would not go outdoors without a leash and harness and a safe place for them to retreat to. Even the outdoorsy Mimi, who at that point was an elderly cat and happy to stay inside and cuddle all day. In addition to the dangers they encounter and the effects they have on ecosystems, free-roaming pets can have effects on other humans. Our cat, Orion, I've had a lot of cats, our cat Orion was an escape artist, and when we tried to keep him indoors, we failed. We tried because he would climb over our fence into the neighboring elementary school. The kids there loved him. He was such a friendly cat, he would just hang out and watch the kids do stuff at recess. No big deal. Except that little kids are little kids, and one of them pet him the wrong way or grabbed him suddenly, and Orion, being a cat, swiped back. The parents were very upset, and we were given the ultimatum of giving him up, and that's what we did. He was put into a foster home, hopefully to be adopted out again to a new family. We never found out what happened to him after that. All because he was too friendly, and we didn't keep him inside. There's also dangers of having your dog off-leash in open areas, and I'm guilty of this. I don't own a dog myself, but I've taken care of other people's dogs, and I have absolutely let them run around without their leash. Because I didn't want to have to keep up with them, and I wanted them to burn off their energy. Nothing major ever happened to me, but there were a lot of minor incidents. Not coming back when called because there was a squirrel, for instance, a constant struggle with Jaeger. He would also wander into grocery stores, and once KFC. Though, in our defense, he slipped his tied-up leash somehow for the stores, and we had no idea he could wriggle his way through a cracked car window while we picked up our takeout. An off-leash dog can, obviously, have access to places they shouldn't go, or places that are dangerous for them. They could attack another dog or other animal. They could eat something that's very bad for them, be it chicken bones or chocolate bars or rat poison. And they can have effects that you don't realize. In California, along the coast, Animals like sea otters, elephant seals, sea lions, and harbor seals are often harassed by domestic dogs, on and off leash. Maybe the owners find the interactions cute or harmless, a funny scene of two cute creatures. But along with the risk of injury or disease for both animals, just the too close presence of dogs causes problems. Harbor seals are known to abandon their pups if they encounter a threat. Dogs, whether it's their intention or not, are a threat. The mothers will abandon their seal pups on the beach, or the pup will dive into the water and exhaust itself to critical condition. Rachel Tannenhouse is a person who I met on a cruise who uses a guide dog. She is visually impaired. One of her past dogs, Salem, was forced into early retirement after multiple incidents with off-leash dogs. He became too nervous and reactive around other dogs, made to retire from his guide job after a very short tenure of 3 years. This isn't just an effect on the dog himself. This was 2 years of training and lots of money, and most importantly, it took away Rachel's ability to be independent until she could get another non-traumatized dog. I've linked a recording of one of her Q&A sessions in the description. So, that was a bummer. Let's talk about fun things. There are really good ways to keep your pets enriched, entertained, and happy, while still under control. Not doing things that will put them in danger, not doing things that will endanger other animals or people. For dogs, there's obviously leashes and obedience training, and dog parks. Dog parks are fantastic. The park right across from my apartment, that I decided not to film because I don't necessarily want people knowing where I live, is not a dog park. There's no fence. It's just a nice grassy area where people hang out. And there are signs everywhere saying to keep your dogs on leash, and there are a lot of off-leash dogs on any given day. Although there are existing dog parks within walking distance, maybe this shows a need for another one. And there's an empty lot right across from that park that is already overrun with grass, and if they just put a fence around it, it's basically 95% of the way to being a dog park. But I digress. You can responsibly entertain your pet, even if it's a cat. You can keep your cat indoors most of the time, and you can harness train them. I started harness training Angus pretty much as soon as I got him. I started putting on his harness while we were at home so he could get used to wearing it, then started taking him on walks. Most of the time, I would just carry him. He started off tense and nervous, but he would cling to me because he knew that I was the safe person and I would protect him. But he's great on his leash and in his dedicated bag. I've taken him hiking, to outdoor markets, to stores. Pet stores, of course, are always pet-friendly as far as I know, and bookstores love him, and for some reason he likes Hot Topic. Most of the time, he just wants to stay in his backpack and peek out from there. Sometimes he'll take a power nap in the bag when he's not in the mood, and then he'll perk up a bit after he's had a rest and engage with other people and things. We've met a harness-trained rabbit while we were out with him. We've met other cats, we've met dogs, we've gone to the beach. He has enjoyed and been enriched by all these different experiences. Out in the world, he gets his stimulation, sees the sights and smells the smells, and gets very thoroughly rewarded with treats and praise and pets. We've also had a catio when it was viable. With a cat door installed in the window, he had a little fenced-off area where he could watch all the birds and other creatures go by. Sadly, I don't currently have the space or funds for one of those cat treadmills, but that and other exploration toys are other great ways to keep your cat stimulated, especially if they're not amenable to leash training. So here's the takeaway. Letting your pets free roam is dangerous to your pet and devastating for the ecosystem. There are many responsible ways to give your pet the same stimulation, including walking on a leash or in a carrier, or letting them run around in a dedicated enclosed area. If you can't bring them outside in a safe and controlled way, get toys for inside, switching things up to be new and interesting for them. And this will come up if you're taking a cat out on a field trip. Tell people why you're doing it. Tell people what worked for you and how it's made life better for you and your pet. You don't need a whole speech prepared like this video, but it's a great way to start a conversation and to get people interested in alternatives to free roaming.